Today you may be struggling with some of the negative aspects of COVID-19. Unable to work, unable to socialise, isolated in lockdown, separated perhaps from your loved ones. Maybe there's pressure on your relationship. Maybe even you're unable to continue with treatment that you require, or you have a cancelled operation, or maybe even a wedding cancelled with all the arrangements already made. There are significant challenges to our well-being, particularly our mental well-being. Social isolation is not a normal part of our life. So how do we cope with the consequences of this pandemic on a personal level? Without seeking to underestimate or play down the impact of COVID-19, I want to suggest that we try to overcome the negative aspects by looking at the positives. Now, you may think that there are none, but try making a list. In fact, why don't you write them down? Let's start with one of the most precious gifts we have: time. Something we all seem to have very little of in our normal lives. Charlie Lansbury wrote a song which we sing. Every moment is precious. Don't waste even one, for you'll never recover a moment that's gone. How true that is. Time. Time to spend with children, our partners. Time to do our hobbies, decorating, spring cleaning, decluttering. Don't waste time on worrying. Another positive, the environment. We talk about it a lot, don't we? There's a quietness. There's a stillness. No noise from traffic, from aeroplanes, from trains. We can hear the birds singing. The air quality is improved. And we can get to know our neighbours. And then improved creativity. We're able to do the things we've never done before. Social media, for example. Learning to Skype, to email, FaceTime, or even Zoom. We're able to do things differently because we have to. Maybe cooking from scratch, giving the microwave a rest, baking bread, finding that we can cook a roast dinner with rice pudding and jam tarts all at the same time. And what about being able to spend precious time with your children, with your kids, playing games, watching them develop and helping them learn? Keeping busy is a great way to overcome boredom, yet we are so often stressed with our daily routines that we have forgotten how to relax. Take time to appreciate life. Yes, life itself, for it is precious. When we consider the plight of those less fortunate than ourselves, we realise just how blessed we are. For far too long, society has measured our value by what we possess. We have become materialistic, striving to attain a higher status, increased wealth, designer clothing, expensive cars, luxury holidays. Listen to what Jesus said. Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. For a man's life and a woman's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. That's a great lesson for all of us to learn, those with faith and those with no faith. The pandemic has created a levelling. You can own a Rolls Royce, but you can do no more than a bicycle. You can own a yacht or a powerboat, but you can do no more than someone with a canoe. We are all on the same level. We are all in the same boat. Your neighbour may have won the lottery, but they are just as isolated as you and I. Maybe you are one of those people who watches so-called reality TV shows, although for me that's so far removed from reality than I ever want to be. Now is the time to take stock of reality for our own lives. Jesus continued with this story about a rich farmer who was doing so well, an abundance of crops, and he said, wow, next year we're going to do more. I'm going to pull down my barns and I'm going to build bigger. And that night he died. And Jesus said, what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what can a person give in exchange for their soul? You may live in a detached mansion. Think of those who are isolated and live in high-rise flats. You may live in a high-rise flat. Then think of those who are living in a tin shack, maybe in South Africa, with 20 in a room. And if you do live in a shack, think about those at this time who are in refugee camps with only a canvas shelter. We need to be thankful. We can always find someone who is worse off than we are. Instead of looking at someone who is better off, let's be thankful for what we have and the preciousness of life, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the clothing for our backs, that we have sight, that we have hearing, smell, a sense of taste or of touch. Be thankful for those who serve us by maintaining our security, protecting our economy, delivering our post, emptying our bins, caring for our elderly, and of course, serving in our precious NHS. We are so grateful to them for their service and their sacrifice for us at this time. Isn't it amazing how this pandemic has emptied our A&E departments and our doctors' surgeries? And maybe our country will reevaluate how we treat and appreciate our National Health Service in coming days. So, today, if you are feeling despondent and unable to do the things you thought were important, take time to think on how you can help the less fortunate. The single parent down the road who relies on the food bank. Why not bake them a cake? The child who depends on charity shops for her clothes. Well, perhaps you don't need those 5 pairs of jeans after all. Enjoy the sunshine, the fresh air, laugh, sing. There will be better times. Evaluate your priorities in life. Make that list. Value life itself. and think about your soul. Let me finish by recounting the story of Horatio Spafford. He was a Presbyterian layman from Chicago, and he established a very successful legal practice as a young businessman. He was a Christian, a devout Christian. He made a fortune, and unfortunately that fortune evaporated in the Great Fire of Chicago in 1871. Having invested heavily in real estate along Lake Michigan's shoreline, he lost everything overnight. Just before that, his son had so tragically died. But the worst was yet to come. Desiring some rest for his wife and his daughters, he sent them to Europe. In fact, he was going with them himself, but due to unexpected last-minute developments, he had to stay behind to sort out the business. His wife and daughters went on the ship called the SS Ville du Havre, and he expected to follow them in a few days. On November 22nd, in 1873, the ship was struck by a British vessel called the Loch Earn, and it sank in 12 minutes. Several days later, the survivors were landed in Cardiff, and Spafford received a telegram from his wife with the simple words, "Saved, alone." Spafford left immediately to join his wife, and he wrote the words of a hymn, which was later set to music by Philip Bliss, who actually named the tune the Ville du Havre, after the name of the ship that sunk. But listen to the words of this man as he penned these words, passing over the very place where his children lost their lives. When peace like a river attendeth my ways, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you has taught me to say, it is well with my soul. God bless.